Hi, my name is Tammy Keith, and I'm with the Parents as Teachers program here with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension in Columbus. And today I want to talk a little bit with you about positive parenting. We get a lot of questions with the families that we work with that have to do with guiding and disciplining their children. And so we want to talk a little bit about that positive parenting. And we know that positive parenting is based on positive interactions that you have with your child from the beginning. So we want to make sure that for parents, some great tips is make sure in the beginning that you create time to have a lot of positive interactions with your child. You want to make sure that you model for your child, because they're going to watch you for your cues as to what you're doing and how I need to respond in situations. And we want you to know that although we talk about attachment and bonding a lot when we talk about infants, that attachment grows and evolves as your child gets older. It doesn't go away, and the need for it increases as your child ages. So a lot of the things that we get asked about is, how do I get my child to do what I want them to do? Or how do I get my infant to maybe not cry so much? So one of the things we talk about with infants is that we really have to learn to respond to their cues. They are talking to us, they are communicating with us, it's just they don't have the language that we're used to hearing. So we start to tune into those cries to kind of figure out what they need. And as we get to know this better, we understand it's a hungry cry, or it's a cry that I need to just be changed, or I need to be moved around, or I just need you to interact with me. So we want to make sure that we're responding to cues. And then when we have some behavior for an infant that is getting a little frustrating for us, we do use distraction a little bit. But one point about distraction is, while that works in the short term, eventually it stops working, because as I get a little older and I grow and I become mobile, now I'm a very curious explorer, and it is my job to move around and find out about things. So children learn through their senses. So that means I've got to touch something, and I've got to hear something, I've got to see it, and I want to taste it, and I want to do everything with it. So when our child becomes mobile, now we're looking at a child that's no longer distractible, usually. So we want to make sure that as parents, it then becomes our job to provide a safe environment to explore. We have to let them explore if we want them to learn. So it's on us to make that a safe environment. So we're going to do some child proofing. We're going to look at, do I have those no-no areas where I've got stuff that's breakable that I find myself saying no, no, no all the time? And we want to think, maybe I just need to move that. So when we can remove things out of the environment to provide a safe environment, when we can baby proof by making sure cabinets stay shut, that drawer stays shut, that I'm not in a walkway, that I'm not getting into things I should not get into. Maybe I'm out of the kitchen because you've put up a safety gate. These provide a better environment for children to be able to explore. And then at that time, as I get a little older and I'm moving and I'm pulling up and I'm starting to walk, we use a lot of redirection, because at this point distraction maybe not work, because I'm very can be very strong-willed, I'm independent, I want to go out there and explore stuff. And so we want to make sure that we learn how to redirect. And it's not just a matter of take me out of the place where you're telling me no. Redirection is a two-step process. So I do remove you from the unsafe behavior or the undesirable behavior, but I've got to give you something to replace that. So I want to make sure that I'm redirecting you then to something that is appropriate. So it's not just enough to say no and move me away. Give me something that is appropriate for me to do, because then you're teaching and guiding. When we look at managing behavior and we think of positive discipline, that really is teaching and guiding. And it's kind of hard for me to follow the rules that I don't know. So if you've not taught me what I need to do or what you expect, and you've not guided me to things that's okay for me to touch, then there's going to be a lot of trial and error on my part to finally get you to say yes. I'm going to hear a lot of no's. So it's when we have our mobile infants and our young toddlers just starting to walk, it's best if we can redirect them to something that's safe and something that's desirable for us. We also want to remember that they're watching us. So we want to try to discipline and guide with patience when we can, even though sometimes we can get very frustrated. We know at this age children also will get very frustrated with us. It can be very disheartening when I can't figure out what my child wants because they have no language for me yet. So we really have to continue to respond to their cues and try to pick up what's going on and be very involved with what's going on in our child. We know that our parenting behaviors and our strategies evolve as your child grows. So what worked when they were an infant or a young toddler may not work when they get older. So we want to keep looking for new things and new tips to do. So remember, positive interactions, model what you want to see and what you want them to be able to do, and then be sure that you have a strong attachment with your child so that it can grow as your child grows.